Hello.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Melanin People Podcast. How you doing, Yvonne?
I'm doing very, very well, Yinka. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's nice to have you on our podcast today, and I believe it's going to be a great time. And our listeners out there, very grateful for this episode because we're very we're sure that we'll learn a lot from you. And it's been a long time. We want to have this conversation. We've been trying and trying and trying to make this happen, and finally.
I know.
We're here. Finally, we're here. Um,
Well, thank you for your patience.
no, no problem. No problem. No problem. So, I'm gonna go ahead and read a little bit about um your products and services and what you do actually, and then I'm gonna give you a few minutes to tell our audience, what you do exactly. Yeah. So,
Yes.
I know that you have so how do I pronounce your last name, because I don't want to blow it off.
Uh, it's Smith Canegan.
Okay, so I know that you have the Canegan Associates Consulting. Did I get it right?
Yes. Yes, you did.
And that was formed by you, and
Yes.
expertise and specialty in business development, negotiation, research, and project management resulted in a
Yes.
unique niche for you to start a company and numerous development that you've been working on over the years. Your
Yes.
company specializes in business development, negotiation of commercial contracts, project management, research and development, background verification, legal business documentation, human resource workshop and training, as well as
Yes.
executive coaching. That's a lot, man.
Well, yes, yes, yes. But it all revolves around the same core.
Okay.
Um, so there are a lot of companies that or well, they're firms, but they go to a certain level with you when you're starting your business, and then they stop because that's not their specialty. We're fortunate at Canegan Associates to be able to do from the very beginning, from whatever that idea is, and we could bring it to market, or it might be a service.
I see.
So those things that we don't do obviously would be fiduciary responsibilities, because we're not Series 7 or anything like that. So obviously your banking and that kind of thing you would have to do, but we would help you form a plan for that and then help you interview and get the right accountant for you, because business accounting is 100% of making sure that when you start making money, you don't make mistakes with it and you give nobody else control over what you've accomplished. So yes, but everything revolves around and pertains to business.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So everything revolves around and pertains to business. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I got the introduction correctly. So I believe we
Yes.
can go ahead with, with all the aspects of the conversation. I know that when
Okay.
we had our conversation a few days ago, that you spoke about something. You spoke about um the challenges that we face as entrepreneurs when we try
Mhm.
as much as possible to do everything on our own. Because I know a lot of people want to learn the advantages and disadvantages of delegating, your business, even even if you call yourself, or you refer to your business in quote as a small business, or you call yourself a small business owner.
Right.
So, um, yeah. So we want to talk about that, and then I'm gonna ask a couple questions.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna be a long conversation,
Okay.
and then we call it a day. Yeah.
Okay.
So, from your experience,
Mm-hmm.
from your experience, um, what inspire? I mean, from your experience, what do you think it's the advantages and disadvantage of delegating, even as a small business owner?
Well, we were talking, I think we're referring to where we were talking about micromanagement or entrepreneurs getting caught up in wanting to make sure they do everything themselves.
Yes.
And that's a business model that a lot of entrepreneurs start at and they fumble with in most cases, because, there's a reason why you form an organization. And there's a reason why your company or service or, whatever it is you're doing runs smoothly. And that's because you surround yourself with people that have different expertise than you do, or that you can train, to do things the way they need to be done correctly without you doing everything. But of course, when you do that, and that's called delegating, you have to make sure that if your name is going out with the product, that you give it the once over to make sure it's on the right track. But once you determine that the person that you've entrusted with that job or that duty has your brand in mind and the culture in mind and the right experience that they want your customer to have, you should be able to be freed up to go and to do more and create more business for yourself and different streams of income. So yes, in the beginning, it's very important to be meticulous about how you go about creating your brand, your service, your business. But you have to think that if something should happen to me tomorrow, who can I call to keep my company going while I work out whatever the issue is? And that was a lesson that I learned. So from everything that you fail at or, you fall short of, you should be able to learn from that lesson. And micromanagement that's not a good lesson.
But
Yeah.
for us as small business owners, as entrepreneurs, we're always faced with a challenge of funding.
Right.
We don't have the money to go out there to hire someone. Even some of us can't even afford to hire freelancers from all this website like freelancer.com. That's free address for them.
Yeah.
Or Fiverr.
Yeah.
We can still afford to hire people from this website in as much, or despite the fact that it's really cheap. It's cheaper to hire people on this platform. But some of us can't even afford that. So what do we do?
Well, there's a couple things to remember there, because my first go around with my consulting company, I also had real estate involved in that, and I had 2 spas, on top of the consulting. I was doing well, but it didn't occur to me to, find someone that's a second, because I was healthy, thought I was good. And when you're developing your business, okay, that's why you can't cut things out. You can't go short. You have to think about, okay, do I want to outsource these things, or do I want to talk to someone, make a deal with them, let them know where I am in my business, let them see my vision. If they're willing to come on board, maybe they can only do it for a couple hours a day or something like that. Or maybe you can even go to a college and get an intern where they could get credit for working for your business. There are other ways to go about making that happen without going to the poorhouse. But you have to sometimes think outside the box. But the reason why it was a valuable lesson for me to have to, really look at that is because when I didn't have that capability, I lost my business.
Wow.
Because I had no one to say, today I'm going to hospital for, 2 weeks, due to surgery. Can you please make sure this contract gets out and check in on this client? And remember, I had a really good base, and then I had new projects. So it was a lot to lose. So I believe that it's a lesson. It's not a failure. And
Wow.
so
Yeah.
if someone can learn from my lesson, don't repeat it. There are other ways to get around it.
Wow. 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 I'm sure someone out there is listening to the sound
Yeah.
of your voice and really is being grateful for this conversation. I spoke to one of my friends. He's a medical doctor, and he has this great YouTube channel where he teaches, NCLEX exams and all that for medical students still at the university. And he was working on one of his applications for iOS and Android. And I went to his house because he lives very close to mine. And we rubbed minds together. And he was telling me about a business operation document for small business owners or for startup owners. And he said that when it started, he didn't have that. And he had a lot of information, passwords on different accounts, freelance software developers that he was hiring from left, right, and center, and his documentation, and he didn't have anything written anywhere. And then he came across an article online that was, talking about having a business operations document. Is this something that you work with also?
Well, there should always be a procedure. You should always have a paper trail. And when you have a paper trail, you could trace things back. I know everything is done now on computer and servers and this, that, and a third, but there's nothing greater than having an actual physical folder and file. And especially for money matters, you have to make sure, because the IRS can come in and check you anytime, you keep those documents for 7 to 10 years. And especially if you are, in your taxes. Now, as far as your day-to-day operations, yes, you should have a drive on your computer where you document your policies, procedures, and methods. And you should have somewhere where you have all your passwords. When you change them, you should keep track of things. Paperwork is one of the problems where a lot of people fail. And when I say fail, it's failing up again, because they'll learn, they won't repeat it the next time. Yes. I had a client who I got a phone call at 11:30 at night from another client, which that was a lesson too, have business hours. Anyway, so it was 11:30 at night, and my daughter was, I think she was about 3.5 months at that time.
Okay.
And I picked up the phone, and it was my client saying that he had a friend that had a cable company, and there was a sale going on, and they were only going to pay him a small amount of money, but they didn't know what to do. And the papers are supposed to be signed the next day.
Wow.
Long and the short of it is, he and his wife, I mean, literally, they had Gucci, they fancy cars, this, that, and a third. And then when I said, okay, why are you calling me? What do we need? Well, they asked for paperwork, and we have paperwork, but we just don't know where to find anything. So I said, okay. And I gave them, what it was going to cost them and what I had to do and the time restraints and all that. And when I went to get their documentation, they literally had papers on the floor. They had broken boxes. They had water damage. They did not keep up with their paperwork.
Wow.
But by the time we had to postpone it, I called the signing, and I took everything, and I had an assistant, and we sat on the floor for 4 days getting their paperwork in order. And by the time we were done, we were able to sell that company for 6 figures, whereas before they were only going to get like 20,000.
Wow.
So documentation is everything. It's everything. And that's someplace you don't want to fail at. I mean, you can fail up, but learn and continue to move forward.
So one thing that I'm learning from this conversation right now is, even if you have an exit strategy, and you don't have your business policies, operations, methods, and everything, written out in a very organized fashion, and you might fail in terms of your exit strategy. You might
Mhm.
be selling yourself and your company short if
Short.
you
Mhm.
have implementation.
Right. But here's the other thing. It doesn't have to be that complicated. Of course, your leases and your bank accounts and things of that nature need to be very, very concise. But when you talk about the running and the operations, you can write it out like bullet points. You can make sure, hey, this is my checklist. This is what I do. It doesn't have to become, a burden. You can do it as it suits you, as long as it makes sense. You know, um, it doesn't have to be all legalese, but it
That's
has to
true.
be done. It has to be done in some form or fashion. And you have to remember that as
Mm.
businesses, or even, in life, we're evolving.
Mhm.
Things change. Nothing is sedentary. Once you stop evolving, once you stop learning, you die. Because
Wow.
then what's your purpose?
Mm.
But that's another subject, right?
Yeah, it's another subject for another day. I think we have a lot of conversation that we have to do together for
Mhm.
our people, melanin people, and
Yeah.
other community that has the interest of the melanin people at heart. Because that's what I tell people right now. When they see the melanin people name and brand, they feel it's just about brown and black people. And I try to
No.
educate people
Mhm.
to tell them, no, this is just our own community. For us to showcase
Mhm.
the best of our activities, businesses, and talents. And it's a community that is open to everybody. It doesn't matter your race, doesn't matter where you're from. If you have the melanin people at heart and you have something for us that's gonna make us better people, you're welcome to our community. I know people might be wondering what your educational background is. With this woman, saying all these things. I want you to tell us, your educational background. Can you share with our audience, please?
Uh, so I have a legal-based background for policies and procedures. I have a BA in advertising marketing, um, with a minor in humanities and history. I
Wow.
have a master's in human resources, development and training for adult learners specifically. So that's why I write workshops and things of that nature, but policies and procedures for HR. So that's where the background checks come in and all that kind of stuff, because I keep up with that. At one point in my career, I felt like I'm always getting into management positions. I need to know more. So I'm not like a brain, you know what I mean? It's like I do things because I don't want to not know. And when I say that, obviously no one knows everything, but anyway. So, and then I have a PhD in business ethics and philosophy from a metaphysical institution, where I also have my theological minister's license.
Wow.
So
So
that is what
you're a
I
doc-
have.
so you're a doctor.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
always tell some of my friends or people that I bring on the show when I made a doctorate. I always tell them that, do you know that I used to be the doctorate school for chemical engineering, and they'll be
Wow.
like, what? All right, so yeah, our listeners, as you can hear, Mrs. Canegan she's really highly educated in this field and this niche that we're talking about today. So she has all our respect, and we really appreciate that she's here today. And I have a question for you. Not
Sure.
really a question, but what advice do you have for people out there, especially people of color who are trying to get into business? What are the first things that you think are the most important that they need to um, consider when starting a business, you know, apart from the funding, because most people don't have the funding. And I tell people that money is not the first thing that you need. So I just want to get your perspective.
The first thing you need, right? So everything you see, so your vision in your sight, your eyes take on, what is it? Something like 300,000 images a minute or something like that, right? The first thing that you have to really do is commit pen to paper. It's okay to have an idea. It's great. Ideas morph and all of that. And you hear people say, oh, I have it in my head. I have it in my head, step by step in my head. You might have it in your head. That's how everything gets started. That's why you have a cell phone, a wine glass, wine, I mean, everything starts with an idea. But until you commit it to paper and make a plan, it's just an idea.
Wow.
That's what I would say. Because you literally, there are no walls unless you create them. But the thing is about us as humans, we're taught to have walls. And it's like I tell my kids, I say there's a wall. There are 5 ways to get around it. Tell me what they are.
That's true.
Analogy that my children and that's the reason I'm alive. My kids. So anyway, there's a wall. There are 5 ways to get around it. Don't let it stop you.
Alrighty. So I know I just wanted to buttress a point. I always like to refer back to the scripture. I know there's a Bible verse that says that write a vision now, make it plain. I think it's Habakkuk 2, chapter 2.
Yes. Make your visions, make it plain. Make it plain.
Wrong that readeth it, and not just if you write it down, you make it plain. I think that's why we need a business plan, right? Because even that scripture says so that all the people that read it may run with it, because if they may run with a vision, or may run with a vision that you've written down, because it says write a vision and make it plain upon tablets, that he may run that readeth it. I'm looking at that scripture right now from my office computer screen, and I'm amazed right now, because I've never read it this way, that says that so that he may run that reads it, so that other people that reads it can also understand what you've written down and work with you in making it a reality, right? When you say we should write something down, are you saying the business plan or just something to get it started?
You have to get it started. Sometimes you can sit down and then all of a sudden everything just comes pouring out. Other times, I had a client tell me, every time I would talk to him, I give my clients homework, because I'm not going to take on a client and say, okay, what do you want? This is what you want. Okay, give me this amount of money, and then 3 weeks or a month later come back with a package and say, okay, here's your business plan, here's this, here's that, thank you for my check, bye. And then that client goes into a bank or tries to get sponsorship, and they're sitting across the desk and they say, tell me about your vision, tell me about your plan. And the people that have the ability to give you that loan or that contract, they're looking at your plan, but you don't even know it, because you didn't participate in creating it. You just had an idea in your head. So I'm the kind of consultant that gives you homework. So step by step, if I walk away at any time for any reason, what you're doing, where you're going, and why you're going there. But I'm not going to give it away. We're going to work together. And if we find that we can't work together, then, you do have, some tangible, evidence. where you can carry on and complete it for whatever reason, but you will know the essence of your company and or your service or your product, and it won't just be in your head, and you would have done the work.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a question. It's gonna be like 2 in 1.
Okay.
What inspired you to get started in your business, and what are your motivations?
So I was a late mom. I was very active, and I really never wanted to get married, and I didn't want children for a lot of reasons. I am Jamaican, and I'm very traditional in every way. I believe in roles, and you have to be committed if you're going to raise a family. And so for me, that wasn't my interest. My interest was always contracts. I'm looking at TV and people are doing these contracts and they're like making serious money, and they're in a lifestyle that, I like, so if you like a lifestyle, that means you have to work for it. No one's going to hand it to you. And if you sit there and think that someone's going to hand you something, you've got a problem, right? So, I was working for what I wanted. And I think I was in a really good position. I was in my early 20s, and I was downtown and corner office, cherry wood furniture, secretaries, things of that nature, telling people much older than me, kind of like what to do and doing what I needed to do as well. And all of a sudden, one day I got pregnant. After they told me, you'll never have kids. You need to remove all your organs. You'll never have kids. And that was because of another situation, a drunk driver. But anyway, so I ended up pregnant. And at the same time, there were those nanny cams coming out. There were a lot of criminal cases of these people that were supposed to be taking care of babies and elderly people, and they were abusing them. And I have an issue with that. That's one of my platforms, domestic violence. And this was against, children. And all of a sudden, one day, the room starts spinning. I'm sitting at a table in a negotiation, and I can't even keep my eyes open. 2 months later, I finally go to the doctor when I can't ignore it anymore, right? Because they told me I couldn't have babies. So 2 months later, I go in and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're pregnant." So I go through.
How did you feel at that point?
What's that?
I mean, how did you feel at that point? Did you think that was a miracle?
Yes, I did. Yes. And, I was raised Catholic traditions, but my mother went to a non-denominational church. My father is Catholic. So anyway, I don't believe unless it's something like, but that's political. So something terrible. But away from that, I just don't believe in that.
All right. So I think we're about to round off the conversation, and we would like you to give our audience, people listening to the sound of your voice right now, some advice. As people, of course, sometimes we feel that the whole world is just against us, right? Especially in business and in our careers, in our professional lives.
Yeah.
Even in the family. So for our children that go to school or go to colleges or high school, or even our kids going to elementary.
Yeah.
Can you give us some kind of words of encouragement? And I know a lot of people will benefit from this, because it's really important at this time, especially in the place where we are right now, the United States of America.
We're in a sad place in America right now, but it's also a very blessed place, because, there's one thing about the serpent. If you know the serpent, then you know your enemy. If you don't know the serpent, then everything else is a mask. So what I say and what I believe, stay in touch with your family, with your obligations, with those people that you have in your heart. Check in. Don't just go with, yeah, I'm okay, but you can't be pushy either. I have a tendency sometimes to like really try to push. Stay open and don't criticize. And, if, especially your children, if for some reason they don't feel comfortable coming to you, make sure there's someone, whether it be a brother, a sister, someone older, that they can confide in. I think what it is, hashtag stay woke. That's what you need. That whole system that they say is broken is generic, because a family can consist of anything. But yes, we want a rounded family. We want the male, we want the female, we want the children, we want the dog and a half cat. We want everything everybody else wants. But our reality is our reality today. It's not tomorrow. So I would say to everyone, stay in touch.
So in summary, I think what I'm learning from you right now is that despite the fact that we're hearing different things on radio, seeing different things on the social media, Instagram, TV, and all that, the attack is basically more primarily focused on families. So once we understand that, we should have this understanding at the back of our mind, and no matter what happens, we should stay together as a family, nuclear family, extended family, and understand that no matter what's happening to us, we should stay together as a unit, and that's what's gonna conquer all.
Yeah, well, I mean, famous words, right? It takes a village. We're all connected. We're all connected.
That's so powerful.
And I think that, somewhere that was missed in what's happening right now. But the beauty of it is we know the enemy, and the enemy can no longer hide, That's the beauty.
Right. That's true.
Stay woke.
So I know that you have over 20 years of experience in business and work and in all types of organization, and you work with different people, and you still work with a lot of people, some very popular, some really influential. What has been your greatest lesson, and something that you feel that you can drop right now so that we can learn?
Breathe. You choose how you react. You don't have to react the way someone is telling you should react. You don't have to act the way someone is telling you should act. Take a minute, step back, and breathe. And, with breathing comes listening. With listening comes learning. Breathe.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for the time that you've taken the time out today on a busy Saturday to come over to our podcast. It's a beautiful Saturday afternoon, and I know that it's a day that we all want to spend with family.
Yes.
And I really hope that you spend some time with us here at Melanin People. And on our podcast, we'll be publishing the podcast in a few hours, and we can start sending it out to our friends and families and on all different media. And I will send you a link to listen to it too.
Thank you.
I just feel the time, and so before you go, I've been speaking with Yvonne Smith Canegan. I know you do. I've not seen you, with the words doctor in front of it, and CEO and founder of Canegan Associates Consulting. It's in Lake Bluff, Illinois, right?
Yeah.
Where can we find you on social media?
You can find us on LinkedIn. You can find us, well, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of that. That's where you can find us. And our phone number, 847-293-6589. I have to do that. That's like an old school thing. But anyway, so just reach out. And if you can't remember everything, search Yvonne. We do all over the world, literally. We have clients everywhere. So geographic area is not an issue, not in today's society. The world has become a lot smaller, right? So don't worry about where you're located. We welcome it. And if we can work together, fine. And we are holding up, the banner of faith-based business. And that's how we do things. We do it on faith. So yes, thank you for having me.
If we want to come to your website or visit your website, where do we go?
Canegan Associates.com. So that's CANEGAN Associates plural.com, or just my name, Yvonne Smith Canegan.com. And Yvonne is with a Y, YVONNE.
All right. So we can find you on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn.
Yes.
All righty. Okay, and Instagram. So, so I want to thank you for the time to come onto our show once again. I really appreciate it. It's been a wonderful conversation. And to the rest of the people listening to the sound of our voice, wherever you may be, in Africa, Asia, Australia, Europe, North America, South America, United Kingdom, United States of America, I want to say thank you for listening to this podcast, and we hope that you'll support this podcast and Melanin People. If you're still wondering what we do, you can find our website at melaninpeople.com, and you can follow us on Instagram at Melanin People with an extra E at the back. You can also find us on Facebook. We have several groups on Facebook, and just type Melanin People. I'm sure the search engine is going to bring us out, and you can join our groups and you can like our page. I want to thank you one more time, Yvonne Smith Canegan, and I want to thank everyone, all the followers of Melanin People worldwide. I want to say have a wonderful day and God bless you.
God bless you too. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I love Melanin People. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
You too.